Welcome to Beyond the Trade, where the levels don't lie, the trades hit hard, and we're here to cut through the noise. No scripts, no safety nets, just raw market talk. Lock in, it's time to go beyond the trade.
The information discussed on Beyond the Trade is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing you hear on this podcast should be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions.
Michael, how was the week?
What's up, Kamish? It's been an interesting week. This was my first red week in a while.
Wow. Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
something to talk about.
yeah, and it was more from stuff that I was holding that I'd had for some time. Um, Not really knowing what was going to happen with the government shutdown and how the market was going to react. So I held a few of them probably a little too long, and then got into an upside down trade on SPY that I completely missed. But yeah, it was mostly coming from longer term holdings that I had. My commons that ended up being down quite a bit last week for whatever reason. But
Yeah,
I mean, nothing upsetting. It wasn't horrible. It was just red.
Yeah, I think it's interesting across the market. I mean, honestly, when you look on the right side, if you're watching, you see on the right side of my screen, there's a lot of red on a lot of these stocks over the past, on Friday's return. But when you look at the stock market, the SPY as a whole, it's pretty much at all-time highs, even though it did trace a little bit higher on intraday on Friday, still closed right at all-time high close on Friday. So, there's really still that big discrepancy. You're seeing, and I'm seeing increasing amounts of people talk about there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of being taken out back, but you don't even notice it because the stock market is at an all-time high. How do you feel about that,
Right.
Mike?
Yeah. I mean, so we end up with a government shutdown early in the week, and the market creates new all time highs. Who would have guessed? What a
Yeah.
time to be alive.
I think I made a tweet. Sorry to cut you off. The week before, I made a quick tweet that said, generally, when there's the government shutdown threats, the market is neutral to higher, like 2% higher, which is exactly what we did. But yeah,
I don't know. I'm getting nervous though. I'll say that. I think maybe I have it a little bit easier being a options day trader than somebody that's long term holding a bigger portfolio because there's going to be some downside. It's a matter of when. And I mean, we've been asking this question for almost 2 years now. When's it coming?
and we just
But
keep putting it off.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
You
Um,
know, it is interesting to note that we've seen small caps go absolutely crazy. We continue to see short reports come out on, you know, all kinds of different speculative stocks and industries. I'm specifically thinking about quantum. So you've got RGTI, QUBT, and then there's plenty of them. IONQ, but these ones that you could kind of loop those into the Russell 2000 a little bit, but it's kind of the same story. Your smaller cap companies, actually small caps did make an all-time high and closed at an all-time high on Friday. So uh, three
yeah.
rounds of applause for the Russell. Looks pretty strong here actually, but at what point do we think there's going to be a blow off top or anything? That's kind of what I want to address in this episode. And for
Well,
those,
that and you got. I mean, at some point, I don't know. People. I mean, you saw it on Tesla. I think this week, people started taking profit.
yep,
At some
yep, yep,
point,
yep, heavy.
everybody's going to start taking profit. So we're at these all time highs. I mean, uh, I'm
So
looking to
we
take profit.
we discussed this, Mike. You see this 465.33 level? We
Yep.
got that level, sold straight through it, and then came down. dropping immediately after hitting 465, which we said it would likely hit if the upside trend were to continue. Immediately dropped 11% in 2 days. So
Yep.
it's a conundrum that we're in. Like I said, a lot of stuff's getting taken out back, and I want to breeze over some of the picks quickly that we've discussed in recent weeks. On some sorer subjects, I had Blend, which this thesis I still am holding my position. It's a small added position that I plan to dollar cost average into, but it looks like more rates, not as many rate cuts are coming as people think, and this stock is going to get impacted. You go look at RKT. We mentioned these in the same light. RKT is having some sort of, they're acquiring some company. But anyways, any interest rate sensitive stocks that probably ran up when the market thought that we were going to get more cuts, they realized it may not be happening as fast, but I'm not gonna, sell that panic.
Yeah.
But again,
Where you missed on BLND, you more than made up for on NBIS.
yeah.
My
So, well,
goodness.
if you ARM as well, which was a great play, they got. I was adding ARM down at about 141. I said last week, and that was a nice little move here. Really, right on Monday. It's interesting. They must listen to the podcast. Nice little move up about 8%. And they had a court something a legal case of some sort. I'm a technicals guy. I obviously have to stay connected to the news on companies I'm invested in, but I'm not going to pretend to be some legal genius that knows exactly what's going on with this. But the key levels that I'm watching on ARM is under 149 and up to 161. There's a gap from the July 30 the July 30th earnings release of this past year. The stock dropped from 161.5 to 149. And so I think if this uptrend continues, this one should get to 161 in quick form before probably taking a little bit of profit. NBIS, yeah, another one of our data center infrastructure plays is just, my exposure is minimal, and that's unfortunate because I've been watching this stock for a long time, and this has just been killing it. Another Microsoft deal this week. It looks like they're buying some land in Alabama. I don't know too much about kind of all of the updates from last week, but safe to say it is ripping.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Almost 17%.
Yeah. Um,
Did I buy? No.
yeah, but did we watch? Yeah.
If we
Did we
watched.
watch? Um, which I mean, you look at. So I have kind of, if you look at this section one on the right here, these are all I mean, if you're watching, you can see it, but we got a number of them. NBIS, RXRX, WRD, IREN, CIFR, WYFI, WULF, BTDR. There's a few more, but these are kind of your more speculative data center, like Bitcoin miners that are now becoming data centers. And so to me, it kind of this plays into the kind of, are we going up too fast, right? These companies have, it's purely speculative, right? I mean, and look at this.
That's straight up.
IREN, in 1 month has gone from 19 to 50. And just every dip gets bought. But, I'm also benefiting from this on APLD, right? So I think that there's, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to say the least because you see a lot of stuff struggling, and then you see certain industries that are just going to town, whether that be quantum computing or or data centers. It's just, how do you reconcile that with where we may be related to maybe seeing some sort of top here, Acro?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for a long time, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AI and data centers are, I mean, it's the fuel right now that's keeping things up here for sure. tech
And
is where it's at.
it exactly. And that worries me about the entire market as a whole. And actually, an interesting thing that I like to do whenever I feel like things have gotten a little bit stretched, and that the big tech, the Mag 7 are just such a big concentration of everything, I'll go look at SPY, right? And yeah, I guess you can probably go into the weekly is a little bit easier here. But you look at SPY weekly and then go RSP, the ticker RSP, which is the equal weight S&P 500. And it's interesting to see the equal weight S&P 500 is up from November of 2024 highs. It's up 2%. Not even 2%, actually, as of the close. But from the well, actually, February was higher but we'll still take December-ish. Regardless, it doesn't even matter. SPY, which is not equal weighted, SPY has more of a concentration in those higher performers, which they will cull back. They do adjust that on a regular basis, and they do add and subtract different companies in there, like they're adding Coinbase. But it's interesting to see you're equal weighted, meaning that this is really a benefit at the top.
Yep. Yep.
These mega companies, I mean, it's what is scaring me a little bit about to be honest with you, about the AI uh, theme is, and we all see the memes. It's kind of funny where it's the meme of Nvidia gives Oracle $100 million, 100 billion, sorry, who gives who gives CoreWeave $100 billion, who then gives $100 billion back to Nvidia.
Back to Nvidia, right?
And you can make that web any way you want to. It just that's how it those groups are all in bed together.
Yeah, I agree with you there for sure.
OpenAI, I mean, they're all just it seems like Nvidia, well, and honestly good on Nvidia. It's this is they have to create the future that they want because they understand the capital intensity what of the world that they envision. They see the capital intensity that it requires to get that world to be true.
Yeah.
So that's it's hard to see all of these billion-dollar figures, going around. But what I was having a conversation with one of my friends who is pretty knowledgeable about the industry, and one thing he pointed out is that the um, is that the ramp, like you see these numbers and you see these demand for power and you see all these data centers getting built, but that ramp doesn't happen immediately. They have to trickle online, right? So this is going to be kind of a process. It's not like, whoa, suddenly, this is all happening. But one of the infrastructure coming from my friend, this is infrastructure is, the bigger bottleneck than anything at anything at the software layer. Some people thought maybe it'd be chips. It's not chips. It's infrastructure. And it honestly is the skilled labor for facility construction. And that's just the people that are actually the skilled people that are knowledgeable about doing this. You have a huge shortage of that in the infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, the information that's coming out on data centers is mind-boggling daily. It really is,
Yeah.
and the upside and the downside of it. Um, the acknowledgement that we need them, and then the battle for, well, yeah, we need them, but don't build it in my backyard. It's I don't I still haven't jumped on board with it yet because I think they need to come up with some solutions that make more sense, and whether it's the micro nuclear plants we were talking about a couple episodes ago or what have you, but it's the necessary evil like many things have been over time, right?
Yeah.
And they figure it out. They figure out a way. I mean, I've talked to people, and I mean, I'm kind of somewhat involved in the power industry with what I do for my day job, and there's we're getting some benefits, and money is being put back into coal mining, for example, to keep some of the coal fired power plants going, which what they call clean coal. And for the record, there is no such thing as clean coal. I don't care what they say. Um, it might be cleaner than it used to be, but it's still an issue. That's not going to go away. So where does that industry go? It has to find an alternative source of energy, and that's kind of what I've been looking more and more at researching is what are those alternatives. And the mini nuclear thing is, I mean, it's exciting. I have a hard time believing that over 50 years or whatever it's been since 3 Mile and Chernobyl and all these things that we haven't come up with a solution to nuclear byproduct or waste. But probably because we haven't spent much time on it. But I guarantee you,
That's what I think.
yeah, it's coming. I mean, it's the most efficient way to produce energy, bang for the buck, and it has one dirty detail that we need to fix, and that's what do you do with the waste? But
Uh,
that would be something I would. The first company that talks about having a solution, go all in.
yeah. Huh. Well, I mean, Mike, and I want your take on this. I mean, I've been saying I think that we're in the fifth inning, and I know a lot of us, we kind of called for a little bit of a pullback last week. I think that would be important. Um, I mean, do you still see, kind of a pullback? Do you think we need some sort of little mini dip in order to provide some more buying opportunities, or do you think that this market is just going to keep chugging along?
I mean, I think so. I mean, people are going to again profit taking. Take your profits and get back in on dips. Unfortunately, from what I see, I mean, the U.S. dollar is what 0.85 to the euro right now.
Hmm.
That's pretty huge. I mean, that's big. I know that and how it affects my company because we have large loans with our European parent company, and those hit me hard every month when the dollar value goes down. It's more that I end up paying, and a penny on several $1 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it concerns me as to where the economy really is versus what we're led to believe it is. I see it here locally in several long term restaurants that are closed in the last month that I would have never thought they would be gone. One, which was actually a place that I've frequented a lot, and it killed me. I mean, it was my favorite place to go, and they just closed the doors out of nowhere. So a lot of small businesses are hurting. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And is it going to be? I mean, that regardless of what the market's doing, it's where are people spending their money? And I think now that we have the government shutdown, we're not getting any real data that everybody's watching earnings. We got a lot of earnings coming up here. That's going to be our only indicator at this point as to where the economy really is, as opposed to looking at government data that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are going to, I don't know, I think the market's going to be a little bit more conservative here moving forward. And one hiccup, and you're going to see a lot of profit taking, which could be good. I mean, it result in a nice sized dip that where we can get back into some of these. But I'm a little cautious. I'm a little more worried, I guess, where we're going to go here in the next couple weeks. I don't feel as
Yeah.
comfortable, I guess, as I had a month ago.
Right. And yeah, we need to talk about that earnings. I mean, earnings is, I guess that's probably a good little thing to touch on is earnings and playing earnings and how to orient your position around earnings is very, very important. I mean, earnings can go up and they can go down. Sometimes they'll run up into earnings and then they'll dip all the way back down to where they were 2 months ago. And then sometimes they'll dip all the way into earnings because maybe they pre-announce some bad news in order to soften the blow and the stock actually goes up. AMD did that a couple years ago. So earnings, personally for me, trading options is not something that I do. You could trade call spreads or put spreads is kind of a safer way in my eyes to do it. Maybe a near at the market or yeah, near in the money call spread or put spread is probably the my favorite way to play an earnings release if I'm playing options. But other than that, it's purely gambles. It's not about, your company could have significant growth in the past quarter, but if your outlook is not good, then you know what, you're straight out of luck. So people's
Spreads are
years,
something that we should probably go into with more detail in one of the upcoming episodes.
yeah,
So those that maybe aren't aware can understand them. For me, like now, I still have a fairly good size holding in hymns, but in it hits that $60 mark and it wants to always retreat. And I think it did that once or twice this week. But I sold covered calls on it at I think 55 for 750 a piece. So I got $750 for every covered call that I sold, and it's been bouncing right near that 55 mark. And look, if it gets to 60 and they get called, I'm fine with it. I still made $2 and some odd cents more than I would had I sold it. So on the option on the covered calls, if they close under 55, it's 700 and I think it was 790 per covered call that I got. So
$3.
they're at 3 now. Yeah.
Well, and for those who aren't educated on covered calls, basically, whatever you sell that call for, if you need it, you add that premium to whatever strike you sold, and that's your break-even price. You may get assigned, or you may lose your shares at any price over your certain. No, technically you could lose them at any price, but if you sell 55 calls, anything over 55, somebody's is may call your, sold call, and then you would have to give up your 100 shares, but you're selling them at 55 or whatever your strike price is, and then you're
Right.
also pocketing that additional premium. So technically, if you sold them for seven, I assume these were a few months out, Acro.
They're uh, end of November.
Right. So end of November. So this is such a far from over trade, but technically Acro's break even is $62.50. But say this thing goes down bad after earnings, like I mean, you just made $750 per 100 shares, which is, which
Right.
if 100 shares is $5,200 in this stock right now, and you made 750, that's more than 10% on your entire investment there. So
Yeah,
covered
and
calls are a
you
super
just
good.
want to be careful with those that I mean, yeah, it could keep going down. I mean, they can go down to $20. Well, you got covered calls out there. You can still buy them back at any time. So if there was big news and it was starting to dump, I would probably just buy them back and get out of it. But that's the only way you're going to lose on a covered call is the stock plummets. But Hims, it's been pretty solid. It's in a range that I feel comfortable with. I own the shares. I've already made. It's probably my biggest. I think it's my biggest gain stock of the year by a
Nice.
lot. I mean, it's well into the five figures of what I've made off of it. So if I lose a little bit, I'm okay with it. But again, if it gets down there where it looks like, hey, they got news where all of a sudden whatever they're selling is, taboo and it's coming off the market, the stock's going to dump and you could get caught. Um, but you can also buy it back. So,
Yeah, and
and
you can freely trade those contracts. So right now, that contract that Acro sold, maybe he sold it for 750, and now he can go buy it back for 600 bucks per contract. That's
yeah,
you theoretically could do that, and there you go, that's a gain. You just
yeah.
close out the contract.
The other day they were up already 70%. So I could have bought them back for like three something.
I would have maybe done that for one or two.
Yeah, I did. I closed one of them out, but I got the other two are still open. And one is I think end of October. The other one's end of November. So I kind of spread them out.
See,
But
I
it's
love
worked.
that.
I've lost a couple hundred shares that way, but I've almost always been close to the break even part. I think I had one 2 months ago that I gave up like $3 a share because it
Yeah.
rocketed and my call price was way too low, my target.
Exactly.
But
So you're capping your upside pretty much. You're saying, hey, if this thing trades in a range, I'm good with that. I'm still
hmm
going to make money with somebody who's speculating on the upside. But in the event that HIMS goes to 70, you know, then
right,
you
um,
then
yeah,
you sold your shares at 55. You got premium at least to get you up to 62.50, but you still missed out on those shares and you don't have them. You're going to have to rebuy them if you want them.
right.
Um, that's kind of the way that I've been thinking about APLD now. I mean, I have a sizable position, have had it for a long time, don't want to sell the shares, but now the options market is probably getting pretty liquid for them. And, if with a 10 to 12 buck cost basis, I could probably start running, covered calls on, probably should start running
hmm
covered calls on them for longer dated. But the only reason I don't want to do that right now is even if even if there's value on an APLD $50 call, like 2 months from now, the stock is 28 currently. If I haven't seen this upside stopping, right? If I'm in if there's momentum here, it's a completely if in my trade, it's a completely different trade than what Acro was talking about with Hims. Hims, his thesis, which he has a thesis, is it always rejects off 55, so I'm just going to capitalize on that until it gets out of this range. And that's exactly what he did, and it went down 10% on Friday. Perfect trade, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
far. And so for me, if my stock is at all-time highs, I'm not going to, I mean, I could, but I don't want to cap that yet. Maybe a couple of them, say you have, you know, 500
Right.
shares.
You want to have some history to go back on for your levels. I mean, we talk about levels. And you can see, well, okay, if APLD got to the same level 4 times and rejects, well, it might be something to consider, get into a cover call on it. But I mean, we can go into more detail on that stuff in a future episode. I think that would be a good one.
Yeah. Um, in talking about actually APLD has earnings this week, by the way, Thursday. But yes, with earnings coming up, it's very important for us to just be wary, know that a lot is going to um, change with these reports. And so people dig into the forecast that they give you, the outlook. Your outlook is pretty much baked by now, right? Like we are in October, so these companies, even though they're reporting data through 9/30 of 25, they have already seen most of October at this point, right?
Yeah.
Netflix and Tesla are always two of the first ones. Net
And you look
of
at companies outside of that, they already know what orders are on the books for the rest of
Right.
the year. They know what's going to ship, what's going to deliver. I mean, even my company, I mean, we're working on 2026 budget beginning of September. I know exactly where I'm going to finish the year and at the end of December because of orders we have on the books and the amount of time it takes for us to get orders processed, get it built, and get it shipped. So there's a lot of companies in that boat that they already know where their year is ending. I think the market from I did a little research on this earlier today. Um, most company on average companies are expected to report an 8% uh, improvement. So if that comes
Okay.
in under on average, well, there's the replacement for your government data, and the market's going to react
Yes.
to it, and it's not going to react in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think of a world of a picture where revenue or growth, profitability is being stunted while the labor market is struggling, while inflation
hmm
is still somewhat high. The problem there is if companies are not growing at the rate that we want them to, they're either gonna they're gonna cut headcount, which a lot of companies do. Companies are saying,
Right.
"Hey, everybody return to office. We're full return to office now." And the whole point of that is so that people quit.
Right.
by the way, when that's
Well,
the
and you
whole point
have
of it.
what the Fed is talking about, or the government's talking about 100,000 jobs being gone with this shutdown.
Yeah,
They're
there. So
telling offices get rid of the unimportant ones. Let's get them off the books, and so there's 100,000 going to be added to the unemployment line.
exactly. So more you're gonna have to for a company to be more profitable, you're gonna have to cut costs or improve or increase revenues. And by increasing revenues, you either you increase the current price of your goods, right? So
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
inflation, which continues to be a problem. And then so this is really, I would say, a pivotal earnings season.
Yeah, this is going to be the quarter that is going to set the pace for next year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be important. It'll be interesting and important to watch how how Tesla and Netflix do. I know Tesla reported their deliveries, and they were actually a high number. Don't know the
Yeah,
exact number, but they were disliked. That was why the sell-off happened. And it is interesting to see. It'll be interesting to hear what they say about the future of uh, the rest of the year and then into 26 about what they think after their tax credit is now gone.
yeah. Tesla's kind of my baby. I mean, even back in years ago when we were doing this in the group,
Yeah,
I mean, I just love Tesla, but it doesn't take long, and people will argue it. But I mean, I've thought it and I've heard it from many. Tesla is not a car company. They are not a car manufacturer. They're a
yeah,
technology company by far,
exactly.
and all the things that they're developing are exciting as can be. But it's going to take time, and the only numbers that they have to put out is numbers on cars because they're not selling robots yet. They're not the improvements they're making are not being seen by most of the people, but they're reducing their costs pretty consistent on
Yeah,
producing a car. And I mean, I don't know. They're the one. I mean, they're yeah. Am I a Tesla fan? Yes, big time. I think that it'll crack over prices that we never thought possible. When I don't know, but it will be. It's already one of the biggest companies out there, and their advancement is just incredible. I'm involved with them a little bit on a different project for the tunneling side, and I remember being in a meeting 5 years ago with a major tunnel manufacturer that laughed at Boring Company, saying it was nothing but a joke. And here they are. They've already got the tunnels built in Vegas. They're starting a new one here in Nashville. They've got projects in Dubai. They're building TBMs, tunnel boring machines, as fast as they can. Most companies take a year to build one. They're now being able to put out one per month. That is unbelievable.
wow, wow,
Unbelievable.
that is
Of course,
crazy.
it's private part of Elon's companies. It's not tied to Tesla at this point. Starlink, another incredibly amazing technology. So,
SpaceX, yeah, not even to mention, yeah, all of the, yeah,
yeah,
all of which are private,
yeah.
all of those, and
But
not
that
to
guy's
mention he was a
knowledge and
founder.
his abilities are what's driving all that. I mean, think what he can do in the future for Tesla. I mean, I don't think it's even scratched the surface of where it's going to go. But again, not financial advice, just my opinion. And yes, I'm a big Elon fan.
Yeah,
Yeah, there, I
yeah,
said it. It's on a
exactly.
record.
Uh, I think he is quite the visionary when it comes to seeing things and then them happening, and he's been right about a lot of stuff. And you just, I
Yeah.
mean, a fan or not a fan, you can't dispute the fact that he's been right about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And look,
So
I may not care for his political points and him getting involved in politics. I don't think anybody really does. I mean, stick with your business, run your company. And we saw what happened when he did that. What happened to the
yeah,
stock?
yep,
Shareholders are not happy to see him talk about anything politics. But he's like a little kid on X with the post he makes. It's
yeah. I think he's out of the politics.
drives you crazy.
I think he's out of the politics. I think he's not messing with that anymore. It was
Yeah.
a little bit of a beast. Um, Mike, I want to kind of last question to round this off. I want to hear what signal would you have that what is kind of a signal that would tell you that we are at or nearing the top? What does that look like to you? And,
Boy.
three bullet points or one.
I guess the main one for me would be watching Spy.
What
When
about it?
you start seeing profit taking coming in Spy, because I don't think we've really seen it. I mean, there's been some little dips, but it's. I'm going to look at that. If I can see close to a solid week of consolidation on Spy, I'm going to get real nervous. And any big news on in semiconductors, AI, that is negative, I would expect a lot of people are going to start liquidating.
That is going to be something. That is going to be something that could cause an issue
Yeah.
anything goes wrong in this whole AI, or it's going to be behind, or just because that is literally, and Jerome Powell even said it. That is the entire. He said that is.
Mm-hmm.
He said all of the GDP growth or whatever is being. It looks fine right now, but it's because everything else that looks terrible is is getting outweighed by the really good AI related
Right.
numbers. So it's
Well, and you have concerns with governments over AI. You know, is if they start trying to put some kind of a restriction, again, another red flag. I'd be careful. It's,
yeah.
I don't know. It's new, right? I mean, it's new technology in a sense that we really didn't hear or talk about it much a year ago, year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. It's been around a long time, but we never imagined where it would go. And I mean, it's obviously you guys,
Exactly.
I'm sure, have all used Chat GPT or this, what is it, Nana Banana, whatever it is, the image editing one. I mean, it is mind blowing what it does. And the thing I always keep going back to is it is right now is the worst it'll ever be. It will only get better.
Yep.
So at some point, if a government decides, look, we need to put some restrictions on this, we need to regulate companies that are developing it, because I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of military purposes for it. There's a lot of things other than us having fun with it on a daily basis, answering questions. It can do a whole lot more than that. And if they start restricting it, look out.
Yeah. For me,
My opinion.
it's yeah, of course. These are everything is an opinion.
Yeah.
uh, um, for me, I think the top, are we at the top? Everybody's saying it. I'm not, okay, if we're at the top, then go short.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Go short then.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a difference between selling your positions and going short. I did take some profit on my core weave position. Um, just because I think that that stock just moves really weird. There's a lot of insider selling, and it's just a heavy one. It's kind of hard to move. It'll probably be up 30% on Monday now that I say that. But uh, for me, the top is kind of indicated by obviously high volume selling. You see here, from the entire, I mean, I, the reason a week of consolidation doesn't really scare me as much is because you can see maybe around, all the way from the lead up to we're at all-time highs in the beginning of 2021, March still chilling, May, June, July still pumping up, little tiny dip in September, but the dips were getting bought very heavily. And then in about November of 21, you had some high volume bars start to come in here on the daily, uh, really, really putting in some major selling volume. And then you have 3 consecutive days of high selling volume, and then you know on top of that, you get a dip buy the next day, but you actually made a lower low than the October of 21 lows. You get a quick pickup in February that moves back up. Actually, this is the weekly chart. Goes and it retests the old supports, which now seem to have become resistance. At that point, after I see high volume selling on a wider time frame on SPY, or whatever index you're looking at. But yeah, for me, the S&P 500, high volume selling multiple weeks in a row, and then rejection of previous highs. I mean, you may say, oh, well, that's too late. Well, things don't just top immediately, right? Things don't bottom immediately. Sometimes they bottom quicker than they top out, but maybe not. Sometimes well, you look back here and you would think, well, they kind of bottomed immediately on COVID,
Well, yeah,
and with the tariffs. But you get multiple options, like you see in 2021 and 2022, you had multiple options. You had it. These are weekly candles, so within those weeks, within those 8 different weeks, I mean, you had a 4 or 5 month period to realize I think I'm just going to take some off the table and see. And then I think, like we said last time, once you sell a little bit, you realize, you know what? It's okay to sell. I don't need to hold my entire position.
yeah. And again, back to what we talked about, take profits. And I think that's something that everybody should be looking at here in the next few weeks anyway. With the data is lacking, earnings are coming in. If you're up on something, it doesn't hurt to trim a little and put some money in your pocket. You don't want a green trade to turn red, that's for sure.
Never, never.
But
Well, perfect.
I
I think we,
I would say caution, 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 caution for until we see what's really happening here with earnings and until the government gets back open and we start getting data again. That's
yeah,
my tip for the week.
perfect. Well, Mike, I think this was a great, covered a lot of bases educationally.
Yeah,
We're trying to do that. We took some requests, like, finally got some messages from some folks with questions they wanted answered, and we're always here to answer them. So feel free to DM either of us at any point. Give us
absolutely.
questions and stuff to talk about, but we're happy to ramble on our own, but we want to be as helpful as possible to everybody. So
Yeah, I made some notes. We'll go over spreads and covered calls and some of the future ones. Give us some time to put something together that's easy for people that are able to watch and listen, so it's understandable regardless of how you're enjoying the podcast. But I think those are two great topics to cover that they're kind of mystery topics. So they were to me when I first started in options. It's like, man, those seem so confusing. But as you get into it and you can get it explained to you in the right way, it can make sense. Pretty
we're
easy.
trying to cut through the noise. You know what it
Cut through
is.
the
Cut
noise.
cut through the noise, just raw market talk. That's what it is. And, we're here to do it. So, and we're here to stay. Again, appreciate all of the support. Thank you for all of our early supporters. We see all of you. Thank you for the comments, the love,
Yes, thank you.
always. Um, and we'll be
I'm
right back
enjoying it.
here.
I enjoy it. So it's fun. It's it gets me in the mood for tomorrow morning when
Yeah,
the
that's
market
our hope.
opens.
Our
Yep.
hope. We're trying to crank this out every Sunday night, get you all prepped for the market, get a good feel, kind of gut check yourself against with what we're feeling, and then really go kill it this week. So have an awesome week, everybody. Try to stay green. Once you see green, take green. You'll never go broke taking profits, and be
That's right.
smart. Make your own decisions, draw your own lines.
We'll see you guys next Sunday.
All righty.